Hi, my name is Ghada Ahmed and I'm happy to be here today to represent the work that we're doing at Duke University at the Center on Globalization, Governance and Competitiveness. And what we've done here is to introduce the global value chain analysis framework and applying it in a new way by looking at food security. We wanted to take a specific commodity that was very important for food security in the Middle East and North Africa, and we started with wheat, and we wanted to identify the major segments of wheat that would impact food security as an outcome for the MENA region. What we did in our analysis is we broke down the different segments in the chain, and we identified that the major segments in the chain impacting production in the Middle East are in the biotechnology and the technology segment, and also, of course, the difficulty in production due to lack of water and land resources. However, MENA as an importer, it became really crucial to look at the role that traders play, the global traders in grains, in supplying the MENA region, and in how MENA as a region, looking at specific country structures, import the wheat. And based on our analysis, we identified there's been tremendous changes that have happened to wheat trade, especially over the last 10 years, where the companies that have been involved in wheat trade, and which we identified as the ABCDs, and that's what everybody actually in the field discusses them. And the ABCDs are Cargill, Glencore, Louis Dreyfus, Bunge, and ADM. And the importing agencies in the Middle East are usually some kind of government agency or government office. For most of the cases, there will be few cases here and there where the government is not actively involved in the major purchasing of wheat. But at one level or another, we found out that in the entire region, there's some level of control in terms of wheat pricing or bread pricing, or some kind of price control or subsidies through various instruments where the government is heavily involved. So if they're not buying directly, they're involved one way or another. What was really interesting and fascinating about the research is we identified, as I mentioned earlier, that these ABCDs are critical to trade. They're the ones that are able to identify where the best places to procure wheat. They're able to invest and move capital very quickly. They are investing in infrastructure across the globe, especially in the major producing countries, so Canada, US, Australia, Brazil, other areas as well, Russia, Ukraine. Their investments have actually led to improvements in infrastructure in the export structure from these countries. But they're also started investing in importing countries in the segments that they started having a little bit of space on that. On the other hand, we found that the Middle East in general still operates under what we have identified as the old world model, and that's where it's still very much based on, as I mentioned, high state control. The government buys the wheat in the spot markets. It interacts with these traders, and they just have sort of continued on somewhat of a status quo of how they're purchasing wheat, and have not evolved to meet this changed environment, global environment that we're working in, where they're not necessarily looking into investments in some of these locations where wheat is being produced. And even on a company level, when we interviewed firms in the countries, we went in depth and talked to some of the organizations there, specifically Egypt. The firms had no interest in actually going in, for example, to Russia and investing the way a Cargill, or did not have the ambition to invest and look into an investment model similar to Cargill and growing in that way. On the other hand, some of the other Asian companies have already expanded and are becoming significant competitors to the ABCDs.
Professor Ghada Ahmed for the Institute of International Affairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.